wherever you are, small mammals, humans, furry things, whatever you want to be, mate, I don't care. Welcome back to Bushka on Blitz. Wonderful to have you with me here today, talking to you briefly, altogether too briefly, about the T110E3. Why briefly? Because I love this tank. I can talk about it all day long, and I probably will. Look at the thing. Clean lines, big gun, horrifically good armor profile. That's what we're talking about. It's the most noob-friendly tank I have in my garage across all tiers. Maybe the Matilda or something like that might beat it, but I don't know. This is a very, very straightforward vehicle. I have got a T110E3 review up already, as you probably know. I thought it was just a little light on, and I wanted to do something that did it justice. So we've done the remastered version, the 12-inch version, the dance mix of the T110E3, and that's what we're looking at here today. Now we're going to look at the armor profile. We're going to have a little bit chat about the equipment. You can see I've got 1.178 million XP on this thing. I play it a fair bit. It's a tank that excels in urban environments, of all things, as a tank destroyer. It's a tank that you love to drive around a corner with, because you'll see tier 10 and tier 9 heavy tanks scampering backwards as this thing comes around the corner in Middleburg. They want nothing to do with it. It's the best armored tier 10 tank destroyer as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't have anything specifically amazing with the alpha. It's got that fantastic tier 10 alpha anyway, which is 640. Same as the ISU 152 at tier 8, or the Object 704, or the T95, or the Object 268. The Jagdpanzer E100 has a much bigger alpha, but you know, it's got the big aim time, and it's even slower than this thing. 21 degrees of traverse isn't going to set the world on fire, but that's what you got. 24 odd kilometers an hour isn't going to set the world on fire, but that's what you got. What will set the world on fire is driving this thing up to a poor old IS-3 and ammo racking it with a 155mm cannon on the front, and that's what it does have. The armor profile is very sweet indeed. It's got a very, very curved lower glacis. It's much like the chassis, not surprisingly, of the T110E5. They do share that common look, and just like the T110E5, it's weak as buggery at the back. You don't want to be mucking around too much with it at the rear. You will get shelled occasionally in the top hatch area by HE firing E100s and the like that cannot pin you frontally because they're out of gold ammo, or they haven't cashed that social security check yet, and they're running a bit short of cash. What else? I run a gun rammer, a vent system, and an enhanced gun lane drive, mainly because there is no gun vertical stabilizer on non-turreted tank destroyers anyway. Vert stab is the way forward if you're looking at minimizing aim time and getting a whole heap of other benefits. All the literature points towards that being the truth. Until otherwise proven, I'm going to stick with that. But the enhanced gun lane drive is handy. It makes you a 2.25 second aim time rather than a 2.5 second aim time. But look at the numbers on the gun. You've got 295mm of penetration average on your AP rounds. You have 375mm of pen on your APCR. Hello, pen. You're penning everything. All the pen, all the time, all night, all day. It's really a surprising thing to not have to aim too much on an IS-7. And because it's APCR, you don't get caught up with that sneaky spaced armor stuff. You can basically put shots through tracks, put shots through spaced armor. I know heat is better for normalizing versus plate, all this kind of rubbish. I like APCR. Plenty of sniping can be done in this tank, but 0.36 dispersion, it's not its highest and best use. And you've got that armor. At range, it's very, very tough to pen, but up close and personal, it's just as nasty to pen. I love this tank. Such a straightforward tank. If you're looking for a tank destroyer to drive at tier 10 and you don't want to be mucking around too much with side scraping and angling and, you know, the whole hullabaloo, this is the one for you. Look at the size of that gun mantlet. It's just enormous. It's like a 30-foot wide button. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to have a squiz at the armor profile. I'll talk you through some of that, and then we're going to come back and look at gameplay. And I want to talk more and be more specific and more in depth in the gameplay of this brilliant vehicle, because I really think we did shortchange it a bit the first time out of the gate. As they say in the classics, red's good, green's bad. I'm not sure where they say that, but look, here we are, and red is good and green is bad. Red means you're not getting penned. Green means you are getting penned. And there's a whole lot more red than there is green on this tank. Like most tanks, you've got to hide the lower glacis to be sure. But even then, it's rounded. It can be very tricky in a heated dogfight to actually hit that lower glacis at range. As it's moving, as it's going up and down in altitude and changing the angle, elevation rather, and changing the angle. So you can imagine this is a hard tank to pen frontally. This is the T110E3 looking at it, which has quite a bloody handy 120mm gun on it, and it's not able to pen this very easily with any kind of AP. And when you get up close like this, you can see you cut the angles down tremendously. And it's why this tank excels on urban maps. Things get very hectic on urban maps or in confined spaces like the one route at Fort Despair, in Middleburg itself, running around in the town on Port Bay. When things get tight and nasty, gee, this thing excels. It just gets better and better. It will bounce a lot of shots. People panic. They fire on the move. They try and actually hit you without exposing themselves, and so they have high aim time guns like the gun on an IS-7, for instance, and they don't let the reticle down small enough, so they get smashed for it. It's an intimidating tank. You don't want to be hitting the back. Plenty of green there. Looks like Kermit the Frog's driving a big red vehicle from the back. It's all green. But if you can keep that front to the enemy, you're going to do well in this tank. Very, very sharp nose there. You can see where I've put that shell. Very hard to pen. Now, obviously, heat will hurt you, but it won't hurt you enough to actually negate your effectiveness. What you have to watch out for is big, nasty E100s, Jagdpanzer E100s, anything with a monster caliber firing into that hatch up the top where I'm putting the white mark of a shell at the moment. They will still do damage on that hatch with HE to the tune of 200 to 300 damage per hit, and that can wear you down over time. But look, if the worst thing you can say about your armor profile is that they can fire HE at your hatch, then good on you. Like, you've got a fair bit going for you. Well, here we go, Castilla. We're on the eastern front, or the eastern flank anyway. This is going to be a good map to show you a couple of things. Firstly, right out of the gate, you're going to see how ridiculous the armor profile on this tank is. We're going to bounce a couple of shots frontally from a T30, which is a hell of a big tank destroyer. It's all going to show you, also going to show you a little tip on the IS-3, namely, never, ever, ever expose the side of your pike to a tier 10 tank, especially a tank destroyer, because the caliber on this gun, you will ignite ammo racks like no tomorrow. And look at this little IS-3 here. He is desperate to peek down and have a bit of fun, and he's going to do it. Here he is. Yep, straight through that front plate on the pike and into the ammo rack, and it's good night, nurse. You can't come down sideways in front of tank destroyers in an IS-3. You see 75's been very bolshy, and we're starting to feel him out, just getting the track there. Really good. I'm going to talk a bit about how hills really help this tank. Namely, if you're on the edge of a hill and sloping slightly downwards or slightly upwards and they can't see that lower plate, it's money for jam. You really do own the yard in terms of bouncing shots and returning fire. That E75, Ivan paid for it big style. That bolshy little move up the front. Probably thought he was going to get some more help from the IS-7 around the left, and I've been watching him on the mini-map, but he has not moved. That was a really good shot from a Tiger 2 to hit my hatch, reversing at range. Very impressive, but for all that, it didn't save him. Now we're going to see something pop here on the left. It's a T30. We're going to roll around and hit him. I am camoed at the moment. There is no tank. Oh, excuse me. Late one. There's no tank anywhere near me that's got a spot on me, so I know exactly where that T30 is, and he has no idea I'm there. So he's looking towards my teammates for shots, and he's now seen me. He panic fired this, I think. He must have known there wasn't going to happen, and straight into the body of my tank, which is going to do nothing. Now we donk a HE shell here. Sometimes firing over hills, just shells do that. It's just the way it happens. I don't know why. We adjust the volume. Mrs. Bushka's probably telling me to shut the hell up with the tankety tanks, and we move forward and we put a HE shell into his buttocks. Wonderful stuff. Tata T30. There's only an Object 268 left and a T54, and I'm going to speed that up so that you don't have to muck around with that too much. So we're going to zoom along here. We actually do take a hit from the Object 268, but it's an intimidating tank. Tanks tend to backpedal when they know it's coming. There's also a T30 to my left, so you know the 268 is probably feeling a little bit intimidated at the moment, and rightly so. But good on him. He stands still, stands his ground, and has a crack. ZXH, I think it was. Some of the names in this game: Player A3222, ZXHZY95. I mean, there's a reason for him, but it's really interesting. I mean, Bushka, for instance, probably doesn't make a lot of sense to anyone, but anyway, the T54 screaming along there. We are actually the lucky recipient of his kill shot. There we go. Interesting game. I think that's actually the most damage on the video. I've had nearly 8.5k games in this tank before. It's certainly a powerful machine, and if you want to put big numbers out, it will, but I think only early sixes is the most I got in the filming for this one. But we're not here for the big numbers. We're actually here for the teaching. I'm here to teach. Not much of a teacher. Hills, that's what we're here for in this map. You'll see there's tier 10 tanks there. Most of them will just ignore me. They're not going to bother trying to fire at me because I'm on a hill. It's hiding my lower glaciers, so I've got enough gun depression to actually poke the nose over there like the elephant having a drink and get shots in, and it's not a problem at all. Hills are really brilliant with this tank. It's a really sharp nose on it. It hides the hatch, so it's a very, very tough shot for them to hit your hatch at all. And yeah, that T54, you can see his gun depression is such that he has to go over the hill, expose himself to get the shot. We've got a great armor profile, and we don't have to do that at all. You can see we're going to put one in the cheeks there of the Jagdpanzer E100. 0.36 dispersion, 295 millimeters of penetration. There's not many tanks in the game you have to worry about penning, so why not have a crack at it? You see, I must be visible to every bugger down there. They're desperately aiming for the top hatch on this tank, and while they're doing that, I am filling them right up. The E5 is wetting himself. He doesn't want to come around that corner. It's the intimidation factor. Good on you, the pattern there. He's firing HE now, I believe, at that top hatch. At least he's doing something fruitful. The rest of them have stopped in their tracks, and this tank will do that. This tank will absolutely stop advances stone cold in their tracks. It becomes the you go first, no you go first kind of thing, and everyone wants to be the guy that doesn't go first, because the guy that goes first is going to get lit up at least once. And then we move down. And the armor profile is brilliant. It works brilliantly at range, but it also works really well up close and personal, as those of you who've had to face down a T110E3 can attest. We've got the American Pie tag team going on here, the T110E3, the T110E5. It's tier 10 blaze of glory. Moving forward past the M48 pattern, letting Josh clean him up, Josh 8, and the rest of the team clean him up. And I donk a shot there on the Tiger 1. Only the E75 left, and we'll turn around and tidy him away nicely. The rest of his team's probably not happy, but to be honest, despite the fact he was hiding in the corner, it was a 7-0 drubbing. I can't imagine he was the reason that they lost at 7-zip. I think going the flank and having a tier 10 tank destroyer sitting up there having free shots at them was probably something more to do with it than anything else. But there you go. I think that's another... Most of these games are going to be fives, mid-fives. And that seems to be the mark, the high water mark for this tank. About 5,000, 4,900. Here we are on Middleburg. There's a couple of very good players on the opposition team. The PLV guy, Stripe Bear there, and there's I think it's a 62A or a pattern. I think he's pretty good as well. Anyway, Aegon side scraping off this corner. You'll note the flat back of that IS4 allows me quite often to donk shots on T110E3s. It's the last shot we're going to miss on him, by the way. But Aegon's side scraping off that corner gives me almost like a false bit of cover there that's moving backwards and forwards, really frustrating anyone that's trying to fire at me. You can see there he's covering up a huge part of my lower glacis and not affecting my shot at all. I just can't fire properly because I'm bad. He is really doing a good job on that corner, and playing this tank with a strong heavy like that really does you a favour. Someone who can hang with you and take a lot of shots and be really tough to pen and make tanks aim hard and give them a long aim time, stop them still, that does you a lot of favours. Now, I've watched this T110E3. He's going to come around this corner wrong. He's come around it very wide. I don't know if he's expecting us to not be watching the minimap, but we were. He's now thinking better of it. He's backing away. He doesn't want to be caught there, but we get another in his lower glacis. The IS-8 is going to do a good job. He's going to take a hit here. He's popped out incorrectly, but he does track him. He really exposed himself there, going for the kill shot. Should have probably been a little bit slower and safer, and he would have been all right. Because as it was, it allowed the guys in front to move up a touch and really put him in an awkward situation. There's an IS-3 going around that flank as well. Watching the mini-map on an urban map in this tank will pay huge dividends, because you can turn, and these guys don't have a visual on me most of the time. A lot of the time I'm in camo, or they can't actually see where my turret is facing, or my gun is facing. So what we do is we actually set up for them like this. They come around the corner, couple 1100s worth of damage, and an absolute flogging. And yeah, he's pretty much combat ineffective right now. And he loiters around that back area for the rest of the game, but doesn't really get involved. Likewise, you can see Stripe Bear, the PLV guy, he's pushed right to the back. It's 2-on-5, but there's some low hit point guys. They're going to try and swarm us. And this is a fantastic example here of the terror, the sheer terror-inducing sight of a T110E3 rolling around a corner, and how it forces enemy heavies to just rush shots and basically panic. He's just going backwards as quickly as possible because he's a one-shot. Anything in that 600 to 700 range, you're a very good chance of one-shotting. We bounce another shot at the front. Aegon's going to hit that ISU 152. He knows that he's a big derper. We want to get rid of him, and I'm going to put my first shot into him. And we've brought it right back from 2-on-5 down to 2-on-3. Great shot this by Aeg. I have to get out of his way a little bit, so he just takes the track and gives me an easy shot straight through the side. So it's now a combat ineffective IS-3 and PLV Stripe Bear, who's in his FV 215B and really going to struggle. I'm just going to give away hit points. What I want to do is force him around that corner and put myself on one flank and Aegon on the other. Even if it takes a couple of shots, doesn't matter. He's a one shot for me. He knows it. And there he goes. I've now got the cap. There's 3 minutes left in the game. He can't poke his head around that corner. Aegon's on his left. I'm on his right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Aeg's got an IS-3 to finish off there, but he's in an IS-4. I'm very confident he's going to do that. Stripe Bear's still stuck there. He can't move with me here. He starts rolling towards Aegon. I'm going to roll towards him. And Aegon's going to take him out anyway. So you can see there, this is a powerful tank in an urban environment. And that's something you really don't expect from most tank destroyers. The Jagdpanzer E100 can do this to a degree, but it's got to side scrape off things. I think this is really the tank, over 5.5k. Big game there from Aegon too. Very, very strong in the clutch. Here I am on Port Bay with Josh 8, and we're going straight down to those cargo containers. This is a brilliant map from the other side to maybe get a couple of snipe shots in from up the top and then roll down and mix it up with the big boys down in the cargo area. But we're going to be dockside brawlers today, boys and girls. We're heading straight for the rough stuff. You've got plenty of heavies on their team who are going to be coming down there, as well as a fairly solid contingent of mediums. The team's very evenly balanced here. You can see how matchmaking works. 3 heavies, 3 mediums, and a tank destroyer each. It's one of the issues with the IS-8 that we just reviewed, where it ends up being the one heavy on a team that can be really struggle street. But Josh is pushing forward in the T110E5. The American Pie duo, really mobile tank, that T110E5, gets out and burns. And you can see straight away there's a few targets popping up. We pop a nice little round in the back of that IS-8. Josh has got his hands full there on the left. It's just him and I really on this flank. There's people behind us and to the right, but we've basically drawn the short straw in terms of enemy attention. You can see there's 3 guys in front of us. IS-8 ISU 152, and whoever Josh is dealing with. Good shot there from the IS-8. Rolling out, but he's got to pay for his sins now. We are chasing him down, and we're going to put one right through the front. And then start turning and angling and pushing backwards and forwards. And you can see there he just gets track. And that's really important because this game comes down to the last few hit points. This T44 rolls in now. He's hoping to come around behind me, but I'm going to make use of the excellent cover that this little cargo and not cargo container and building give me. I don't know what happened here. We were a focal point for pretty much everyone. They all came for us. We went down the middle and everyone else crumbled around us, but there you go. So Joshy, he's got the T44 over there, but he's also got another tank on him as well. There's an ISU 152, and I've got to push out to this because he's just hammering Josh. If I give him that, take another one there right through the side on the tracks and chase him down. You can't leave an ISU 152 free and easy. Josh has got two tanks in front of him. The T44 has not left him be. I've got to take advantage of Josh having the two on him and nut that ISU 152, but the ST, who's been biding his time up there, comes back and hits Josh while he's handling the T44. You can see how you're just traversing around, keeping cover between you and the enemy as much as you can in these urban environments, peek-a-booming around a corner and smacking him for 640. And that is exactly how you play this tank. 3-4 now. Josh with a valiant effort there. He had a couple of tanks on him at once, and the T110E3, it's got a good armor profile, but it certainly can't just soak up shots from all angles like this tank can. We're moving forward, 4 on 3. They're asking for help. I can only see 2 on the mini-map at the moment. There's a third popping, not on the mini-map in front of me. Everyone's on low hit points, so these are the kind of games that can swing either way. There's a lot of one-shots here. I'm desperate to get down here and nail that big E100. He's my main target. That's why I'm driving on this track, and we get him, and that is an absolutely wonderful result. Getting a good shot into him means that there's every chance we're going to be able to nail him on the second. The T62A down. E100 is going to be down in just a tick. There you go. And the T62A takes out my other teammate, so now it's 2 on 1. We've got 4 kills. We'd very much like the good old Radley Walters, and we're working towards it. The last teammate I have there is also on very low hit points. The other guy that you can see on the right is just a bug. He's a drowning victim. Good on him. He's a right idiot going in the water there. But anyway, I don't know how he did it, if he did it on purpose or not. We certainly could have helped. He could have helped right around now, that T32. So we're going to get in the cap circle. I know the T62 was last seen over there somewhere. Josh has talked to me already about how the T62A is a HE shot. And that's one of the joys of these big caliber 155mm. You load up a HE shot and you use it, you are very likely going to do enough damage to kill a low hit point tank. I'm wondering if he's going to flank there or he's going to flank left. He's probably going to flank left. There he is. We're slow to get round. Resets the cap. There's 1:48 left, so there's certainly enough time left to do the cap, but we load the HE up and we're just waiting for him to pop. All we need is a slither of daylight. There it is. Thanks for coming. That's our 5th kill, and it's a win. And you can see exactly how devastating this tank is in those 2 maps. It's an absolutely brute of a thing when it's facing people in urban environments or coming around sharp corners, not giving them the opportunity to reset and do things as they like. Now, this is an interesting one. This is Black Goldville. I have a lot of good games on this map in this tank. It's so wide open and it's so sporadic, and it becomes so helter-skelter at times because people go all over the place. Teams get really widely separated and things get out of hand very quickly. You can see big comebacks on this map. Josh has gone the top. Their main strike force is going to go to the top. There's an Object 268 who heads up there as well. Although there is an IS-8 and a couple of others who come the other side, so it's pretty evenly balanced, I guess you'd say. You can see the 268 and the E75 there. Josh is spotting for us, and he's side scraping off that corner. The 268 has to come over that ridge. We smack him properly there. Josh is going to put one in him as well. And you can see angling there. It's very, very hard to hit that lower glacis, and there's not much else to aim at. The ST1 is ganging up on him. It's not looking good. We hit him unzoomed. He tracks the ST1. Not the best of games for that Object 268. Voodoo very much doing it tough. That T54 rolling down there, bit of a problem. Not much you can do about it. I don't like medium tanks in that spot because now I'm spotted anytime I try and go across that stretch and join Josh up just on that top corner. You can see there's all those tanks down there. If I loiter around here and don't keep my plate towards those tanks on the far end of the map, the southern side, then they will absolutely pen me. The sides of this tank are not very friendly. You can see we're down 3 tanks to 1 at the moment and about to be down again. There's a Yag Tiger which we somehow bounce, and you can see what I mean. The sides, if I overextend, I think I've mentioned it before, but you should always be drawing back. When you've got mediums in front of you, don't push towards them unless you're guaranteed of a safe place to turn and traverse. They will just get behind you. A lot of them will eat a shot just to get behind you, and 640 Alpha is all well and good, but if you can only put it into them once, it won't take all their hit points. I'm not moving until I get a look at this guy. There we go, hot cell in the T54. Very happy now we've cleared him because there is enemies coming up on my right. That ST1 actually does all right, but he's not looking at that Centurion, which is really frustrating me because I've got a Yag Tiger and an FV215B and an IS7 unaccounted for, and they are all coming from the right-hand side. So I need that ST1 to really pick his game up and dust that scent off. At the moment, he's focused on an E75 over on the left, but he's finally turned around and started paying attention to that scent, and none too soon because there's an IS7 right there, and I'm about to have a Yag Tiger and an FV215B on my right as well. And that's why I'm not pushing forward. I don't know where the enemy is, and the last thing I want to do in this instance is rush forward and cop a couple in the back, which is exactly what would have happened if I had pushed. There's the FV. Now I can, all that ground that I've saved myself by not pushing forward, I give it up straight away because I want to close the distance on a heavy. And you can see there's a gentle slope there coming down the right hand side. Moving forward means that lower glacis is less exposed. There's a Yag. The FV is an easy pen for this tank using APCR. Oh god, I love pressing the accessibility option there, the touch button. That's why I have that on, so I can use Shower TV to record. It's just one of those things. The FV is just a hatch shot, and he won't give it to me. He's not going to hang around too long. We missed that, and he's not interested anymore. He's copped enough of a flogging at the hands of the old T110E3. Watch this. This is elephants dancing. We are going to put a shot through the Yag Tiger. We are going to drive right by him. You see I've done his engine, really ruined his engine there. Drive right by him, and instead of keeping on going, we're going to turn, hit him as we progress forward, and I'm going to trap his drive wheel with the front edge of my T110E3. There you go. Very, very easy stuff. That is certainly not what he wanted to happen, and it's ruined his day big style. Stuck him there. Oh, there's justice in this world, though, because watch this. As I try and turn towards the IS7, this should be in the dirt diaries, I catch my right back drive wheel on the edge of the Yag Tiger, and I'm down. But that's all right, because Agon's going to turn up, and he and the ST1 will finally nut that IS7 for us and win the game. Well, you can probably hear the rain has started falling here in Sydney town. The precipitation is precipitating. The IS7 here, Agon and the ST1 doing him in. We're going to Fales Creek after this. We're only a couple of lumbering idiots going to the bridge, so it's all good. It's pretty competitive around the old cap circle. Something of note with this tank, we've been through and we've looked at it as an urban warfare kind of behemoth. It can snipe a touch. But this is another situation where you get to make turns up close and personal, bring people in a cap circle and force them to come to you, which is where you do your best work. Josh 8 is on the corner there in the E5, and I'm just entering the cap circle ever so gently to do my best. Now I'll bounce a couple of shots here. We're going to give the IS8 a big hello. Josh blocking me there from an easy shot, so I move out, come back, repeat the process. We're going to give him a big hello right there, and you'll see we bounce a couple of shots. It's that upper area of this chassis. It's really, really, really strong and tough to pen. Now, the KV4 is pretty much oblivious. There is an IS7 and a T54 coming up on his right. The T54 is after help, but this KV4 is not paying any attention and is blocking all lines of fire. The IS7 blocks the T54, and the KV4 is blocked by his own teammate. The KV4 is blocking his own teammate from retreating there. Just an absolute comedy of errors. Pay attention to the mini-map, you numpties. Look at that poor old T54. He could have pulled back and we could have blitzed these two guys in the corner, but the KV4 just left him out there to dry. And there's a T32 and an E100 who are now going to be turning up and sniping back from the bridge because they knocked off our silly, I think it was a T32 that stayed at the bridge to make a name for himself. Again, another bounce shot, that IS3. Look at him, he's got adrenaline, he's moving forward, and all he has to do is take a good look at what's there, and he doesn't want to know about it. Yeah, that shot there, that wasn't me. That was just random. The old RNG. The 30's gone, though. The IS3's there. We're 4 and 4, 4 and 3, looking very solid. What happened to Josh? Well, that's what I think happened to Josh. Josh got sniped from the bridge by that bloody E100. The IS3's there. He's not going to reset the cap. Something happens there. We drop some cap action. That's the KV4 who's not watched the minimap and has just turned around and said, yeah, have a go at my butt, which is what's currently happening. The IS3 does the right thing, mans up, resets the cap. Good on him. Good play there from him. Gave his team a fighting chance. If we had been allowed to just sit there and pump shots and shells, we would have won this game very easily. I am removing myself from the view of that IS3 by hiding myself behind the KV4. E100 does him. Sorry, KV4, but I'd rather it was you than me. I've now got a T32 and an E100 and nothing but an object to help me out. And an object isn't obviously nothing. An object is a lot of tank. It's got the BL10 and he's done fairly well so far. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I cop one from the E100 here. This is bad play. You should always be keeping your armor towards the E100. I could have reversed out very easily and gone back around showing nothing but my upper plate to the E100, and then I accidentally pressed the fire button. So I'm batting none for two there. That was really poor play, but we make up for it here. We just nose up to the T32. Don't let him get around us. All he gets is a track because he can't depress his gun far enough to get into that lower glacis. And then we move forward and simply snap it off as soon as we get anywhere near his chassis. E100's coming around. Now you'll note here, I don't turn up the hill. It's 21 degrees of traverse. Turning up a hill can be quite a pain in the bum and leaves you a bit open. So I move forward and then start my traverse all the way over here. Now this gives me options. If he does push forward, I can go back around instead of being stuck there in no man's land. And as he pushes forward in his eagerness to get a shot, we get a clear shot into the side. Once we've done that, he's on a big, long reload. I've got him beaten the reload. There's not many tanks I can beat on the reload, but the E100's one of them. Unfortunately, we both donk our shots here. Big, wide, lower glacis to go for, and I hit his track, and he bounces off me as well. But I'm pushing forward. Good old tactics here. The object is gone one flank. I've gone the other. One of the few tanks that I could beat on the reload and not get circle of death by is the E100. You can see there happily someone's going to take the shots. May as well be me. But he's done a good job. Turned around and he's now got us both back in front of him. Doesn't matter though. He gets to pick his poison. Does he go the BL10 or does he go for me? And I'm happily... He's just gone the BL10. I had plenty of hit points in the bank. So that's it. Lots of up-close personal stuff. Even E100s and big tanks like that, you've got nothing to fear in terms of pen. You've got absolutely nothing to fear in terms of alpha. 5.5k nearly. Again, it's just a beast of a tank. It's very noob friendly. If you are driving down a line and you want to get to a tier 10 that you can play without a whole lot of thought, this is the tank. I'm not saying that you can't play it better as you play it longer. You can see, obviously, I'm used to the tank. I think about the tank in a certain way when I drive it because I've got over 700 battles in it. In fact, it is my most driven tank across all tiers. So that goes to speak to what I think of the tank and how strong I think it is. And I certainly believe that the stats back that up in terms of averages. If you go to WOTB stars or cellbrock.net /Blitz, you will see that those numbers are pretty bloody good for the T110E3. So there you go. A second look, and hopefully we did a little bit better that time. I'll also be releasing very soon an Object 140 review. There are people clamoring for a review of that little number, and I've driven it nearly 50 games now, I think, running somewhere in the vicinity of 54%, something like that. And it was really rough to kick that one off, but we came good. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Follow me at Bushka on Blitz on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel because you're a great human and I love great humans. Or jump into the Asian server portals, not the Asian speaking. That's a geographical thing, not a national linguistics thing. The game discussion section of the Asian server portals under the English speaking section. Or I have started venturing forth onto the North American forums. I haven't forgot those of you in the EU. It's just bloody hell. There's a lot of social media to stay on top of these days, and I'm but one man. So until next time, stay safe on the battlefield.